Welcome. You know, we're about to dive into something really profound and I hope really freeing for you. Have you ever felt like there are parts of yourself, these deep wells inside your own soul that just feel completely out of reach? Well, what if I told you there's one who can not only reach those depths, but can actually bring healing to them? Today, that's what we're talking about, the great physician. You might remember this famous story from the Gospel of John. A Samaritan woman says this to Jesus right after he offers her living water. Now, let's look a little closer here. She's not just talking about a physical well of water. I mean, think about it. Her own life, after 5 husbands, she was speaking from a place of deep, unmet need. She knew better than almost anyone that her own heart was a deep well, and nothing, no person, no relationship, had ever been able to draw from it and bring any kind of lasting satisfaction. And really, her story is our story, isn't it? We all have those depths, those aching needs, those secret longings, the broken places that just always feel out of reach. It brings all of us to the very same question she was facing. How can these deep parts of who we are ever be truly satisfied? So to answer that, let's first kind of map out the landscape of our inner world. Just picture it like that well. You've got the parts near the surface that we can see, that we can manage. But then there are these depths that, honestly, we can't even begin to fathom on our own. You know, psychology has a really helpful model for this. They talk about the conscious and the subconscious mind, and it lines up perfectly with a biblical understanding of the heart. Your conscious mind, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's what you're aware of right now, your to-do list, what you're thinking for dinner. But underneath the surface, there's this vast subconscious, what the Bible would call the inner man or the heart. And that's where the real stuff lives, our deep-seated beliefs, our hidden motivations, and a lot of our hidden struggles. So right about now, you might be thinking, okay, if it's all subconscious, how in the world am I supposed to know what's going on down there? And that's a great question. The answer is that God, in His grace, has actually given us messengers, little signals that rise up from the depths to let us know what's happening inside. The first messenger is our emotions. A lot of the time, we treat things like anxiety or guilt as if they're the problem itself. But what if they're not? What if we thought of them more like an angel, a messenger sent to get your attention? They're really just a signpost, pointing to a much deeper issue, usually a wrong belief or some kind of lie that we're holding on to deep in our hearts. But what happens when we ignore that angel of our emotions? Well, God often sends a second, louder messenger, the prophet of our body. You see, when we just bottle up all that spiritual and emotional pain, our body can actually start to show that stress through physical symptoms. It's a really powerful signal that something is seriously wrong on a soul level. And that's why we have to learn to listen, not just to our feelings, but to our bodies too. But here we reach a really critical turning point. Listening to these messengers is helpful, for sure. It's a vital first step. But if we rely only on self-discovery, we are eventually going to hit a wall. There is a hard limit to how much we can understand about ourselves by ourselves. The prophet Jeremiah, man, he puts it so starkly. He says, the heart is deceitful above all things. It's just so complex, so mysterious, that after all the self-examination in the world, Jeremiah himself is forced to ask the question, who can know it? And the implied answer is no human can. Not really. And listen, this isn't just some old, dusty Old Testament idea. Fast forward a few hundred years, and the Apostle Paul runs into the exact same wall. In Romans chapter 7, he basically just pours out his frustration with this crookedness inside his own nature. He finds himself doing the very things he hates. It's as powerful proof that this internal battle, it's a universal part of being human. So, what's the answer? Where did these great men of God turn when they hit that wall? Well, look at King David in Psalm 139. After meditating on how fearfully and wonderfully God made him, he reaches the stunning conclusion. He can't figure himself out. His only option is to turn to his Maker and pray, "You search me, O God, and know my heart." Because I can't. What's so fascinating is that this biblical truth even gets an echo in philosophy. The famous Greek saying was, "Know yourself." But Socrates, who is considered the wisest of them all, he concluded that his true wisdom was in realizing he knew nothing of himself. It's a profound point. Real wisdom starts the moment we humbly admit we can't fully fathom our own hearts. And all of this struggle, it brings us right to the glorious solution. We can't reach the bottom of our own well. We just can't. But there is one who can. So let's talk about the great physician. In another one of his Psalms, David asks this crucial question. He recognizes that we all have errors we don't understand and what he calls secret faults.
And here's the key. These faults are secret even to us. They're those hidden twists in our nature, those deep patterns that make us stumble in the same ways over and over again. And we're left just scratching our heads, wondering why.
And right here, this is the incredible hope of the gospel. I mean, think about it. A human doctor can give you a perfect diagnosis, but then have to look you in the eye and say, I'm sorry, there's no cure. God is not like that. He is the great physician. He doesn't just diagnose our secret faults. The promise of the Bible is that he cleanses us from them. He both finds the problem and is the cure. This is the absolute bottom line. The infinite Spirit of God is the only one who can truly reach into those deep, aching abysses of the human heart. He is the only one who can go all the way down into our well, to cleanse, to restore, and to bring the lasting satisfaction that every single one of us longs for. Okay, so if God does all the deep work, what's our part in all this? Do we just sit back and do nothing? Not at all. The Bible is actually very clear that we're called to be co-workers with God in our own healing and spiritual growth. First, we have to understand that even the deepest ocean has a shoreline. We aren't meant to live in this state of constant deep navel-gazing. In fact, that can be spiritually really unhealthy. As one writer put it, even little lab animals have been known to die just from being overly observed. Our job is not to constantly scrutinize ourselves. That's God's job. He's the searcher of hearts. So our partnership, it really looks like this. First, we enjoy. We live on the shoreline, enjoying the normal, ordinary life that God has given us. Second, we recognize. We humbly admit our limits, and we know the point where we are simply out of our depth. And third, and this is huge, we commit. We actively and intentionally place those deep, unmanageable parts of our souls right into the hands of our faithful Creator. The Apostle Peter captures this so perfectly. He encourages us to take this active step of trust. We are to commit the keeping of their souls to Him. And why? Because He is a faithful Creator. He can handle the parts of us that we simply cannot. So let's just bring this all together for a moment. Have you ever had that feeling, nobody understands me? Well, here's the truth. They don't. And what's more, you don't even fully understand yourself. You are too deep. But here is the wonderful, freeing news. You are fully known and you are fully loved by the one who made you. And so the invitation for all of us today is really simple. It comes right from Scripture. Return to the shepherd and the overseer of your souls. He is the great physician. He knows the true depth of your well, and He alone has the living water, so that if you drink from Him, you will never thirst again.